Welcome to my channel. I'm Lee Johnson, and if this is your first time here and you enjoy my content, then please subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you can know when I bring out new videos, usually every Tuesday. I did miss 1 week recently, first time in I think over a year. It's very bad of me, but as I say, if you enjoy my content, hit the subscription, hit the like, comment, share, etc, etc, etc. And there's also a join button if you'd like to support the channel and make it grow. So today I want to talk about God and Satan. Rather controversial topics, and I think everybody has their own interpretation of what God and Satan actually are, depending on who you talk to and their background. But because of this channel and the topics I speak about, and because I'm a demonologist, I think it's quite important to get an understanding of what I mean when I talk about God and Satan. And I find it funny because whenever somebody asks me the question of who's the highest being, who is the top dog, sort of thing, who's the biggest demon, I always say God, and it gets a rather interesting reaction most of the time. Well, let's start with Satan. Satan's the adversary. Now, when it comes to Satan, again, everybody's going to have an interpretation. A Christian's going to have an interpretation which is completely different to a Satanist. A Satanist is going to have an interpretation which is completely different to a demonologist. When it comes to Satan, again, we've got very personal interpretations. For me, Satan is the all. And when I say the all, I mean spirit, ether, that which is the elemental king, which is everything. And in this regard, because we're on the left-hand path, on the left-hand path in general, we talk about antinomianism. And antinomianism is very much about going against the grain. And it's going against the grain of society, it's going against the grain of thinking, and actually thinking for yourself. It's about developing yourself, about improving yourself. And this is very much the adversary. You are being adverse to what everybody else has been teaching you, has been telling you, adverse to the way you've been raised. A lot of people who are watching this channel, me included, come from a Western society, and that Western society usually raises us in a way where demons are evil, God is good, Satan is bad, etc, etc. But there's a lot of other things in there, how we should react to certain situations, suppress our anger. There's just a load of things. We're supposed to get married and have a child and live happily ever after with that one person. It's not always the case. So with the left-hand path and antinomian behavior, we go against the grain of society. We question it. It's not about becoming criminal. It's not about, oh, everybody's good, therefore we're going to be bad. It's about questioning all of the things we've been taught, questioning the way we've been raised, questioning the way we have been programmed to think and programmed to believe, and questioning all those things, and then doing something which is more in line with our own nature. And again, that doesn't mean becoming a criminal. In fact, becoming a criminal can be completely against being antinomian, because it would, at the end of the day, pull you down, bring you down, and you would be in a position where you can't move forward, you can't grow. So you've got to take all of those things into account. But when it comes to antinomianism, we're talking about going against the grain of society, and that is being the adversary. But there's more to it than that when it comes to Satan. My personal interpretation of Satan is that I am Satan. I am the all. I am the creator of my own life, my own future, my own destiny. I do magic in order to change the outcome of something. I do magic to alter the energies around me, around my environment, around my circumstances, in order to move myself in a direction that I want to go in. And that's what being Satan is about. It's about thinking for yourself, about standing up, and about improving yourself, about empowering yourself. And you probably have already, if you haven't already, then you'll probably come across this whole thing of becoming a living God. And when we're talking about becoming a living God, it's about, you don't actually become a God. You already are a god or a goddess. You come to realize that you are, and you can then grow from that and grow on that. Sorry, I'm using a new camera, and the the exposure seems to be altering all the time. So excuse this video. I'll have to try and fix that after this. Okay, so where was I? So we are becoming a living God, or realizing that we are a god or a goddess, and through that we become the creator of ourselves, and we become the creator of our own lives. And if we look at the normal construction of the demonologist circle in modern demonology, we have the 5 elemental beings. We have the 4 elemental beings, or 4 elemental kings around the circle, and then we have the Axis Mundi, which is Satan, the all-ether spirit. And this, because you're standing in the middle of the circle, you're standing in the middle of that space, and you become the creator of your microcosm, which then reflects into the macrocosm. You are the Axis Mundi. You are the world tree. You are that aspect which is the creator, the creatrix, and you are therefore then Satan. That's my interpretation. That's how I see it, that's how I view it, that's how I'll work with it. When I, earlier on, years back, when I was working with Satan and Satanism specifically, Satan did come through as an entity, and that entity was one which was very much connected with the earth realm itself, very much in love with humans, and wanted to help us to grow as a species, wanted us to grow as people, as individuals, and as a collective as well. So there was that aspect of Satan being an entity which was separate from me, but as I've developed, there's an overlap that happens, and that entity became me. Whereas, we could argue that all of the entities are us. We can argue that they are archetypes of us, they are parts of our nature, they are forces of nature which are external to us, but also internal to us because we are connected to everything. So these arguments can go on, and they can get a bit bogged down with terminology and understandings and interpretations. So when we're talking about entities versus ourselves, it's a bit of an overlap situation, a bit of a mishmash and icky-wicky, bindy-windy, timey stuff. That's a term we like to use. And so we are the entity, and the entity is separate from us. We are not separate from the entity is not separate from us. It's just all a big mishmash of stuff. And it's you really need to delve into how to understand that. But you've also got to try and remove yourself from the idea that we are individuals, and also try and remove yourself from the idea that this physical world is all there is. And even if you believe that this physical world is one thing and we have an astral world, doesn't mean that they're separate. They are combined, they are the same. One is a dream, the other one is a dream. It's just that whole very complicated stuff. But to try and put it simply, you are Satan. You are your own Satan. You are your own God or goddess. And that's the way I view the whole aspect of Satan anyway, working from what I work from. Now, when it comes to God, I very much take the Kabbalistic approach in this interpretation, where I'm not talking about the Christian God. The Christian God, from what I've seen and from what I believe, is an egregore, and that egregore has been created by thousands, millions of people over a very long time. Very powerful egregore, but not the God of the Hebrews, not the God of the original texts, and not the God of Kabbalah. From Kabbalah, we understand God to be everything and nothing. And what this means is that God is everything that we can possibly touch, see, smell, feel. I've already said touch. But you can experience God with all the senses, but also with thought, our imagination. If whatever we can imagine is God. So it's everything that we can understand, everything we can experience, but at the same time is also nothing, which means that God is also those things that we cannot experience, that we cannot understand, that we cannot touch, that we cannot smell, we cannot see. And so we could say that God is everything in that case, but then we're getting into areas where everything becomes everything that we can experience, and we can't experience everything about God. We cannot completely comprehend God. We cannot completely understand or put into some kind of context. The Toltec warrior path actually has a really good explanation of this. So we talk about the tonel and the nahual. Now, the best interpretation of this I've ever seen, ever read, was to imagine that the tonel is an island, and beyond the island is an expansive sea. It's a never-ending sea, and that sea is the nahual. The tonal is everything that we can experience, everything that we can comprehend, interpret, imagine, touch, feel, see, hear, smell, everything that we can put into an experience of some kind, even if it's a physical experience, or whether it's an experience of imagination, or an experience of taking a concept and interpreting it in a certain way. That's the tonal, and that is our tonal. Everybody's tonal is different. But beyond that is the nahual. The nahual is everything that we cannot understand, everything that we cannot experience, everything that we cannot interpret in any fashion. If we take something out of the nahual and we interpret it, we give it definition, then it becomes part of the tonal. And it's the same with God being everything and nothing. So everything is the tonal, nothing is the nahual. And if we take something out of the nothing and we give it definition, then it becomes part of the everything. So this for me is God. And when I speak about God, I speak about God as being everything and nothing. And therefore, God, everything, demons, gods, goddesses, any form of deity in any form of pantheon, anything that, any spirits, high, middle, lower, astral parasites, the mighty dead, the ancestors, the people that we interact with, the environment that we interact with, the furniture in a house, everything is God. And therefore, all of the deities, all of the demons are also God. We are God. And we are also Satan. That's why I prefer to, instead of talking about myself as being a god. I prefer to talk about myself as being a Satan, because I am therefore the all within my own microcosm, the all within my own space, the all within my own environment, and that all which creates my own life. But at the same time, I am God, the everything and no thing, because I am connected to that everything and no thing. So that's why, in my interpretation, the God is everything and no thing is the ultimate being, the ultimate power. And, these are just words. God is just a word, Satan is just a word. So, when we talk about God, quite often immediately people just click and think the Christian God. It's just a word. And that word can be interpreted in many, many, many different ways. So I think everybody needs to come to their own understanding and their own personal interpretation of what these words mean to them, and go from there. Not everybody's interpretation is going to be the same, and that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We don't need to agree on everything. We don't need to agree on what God is, and we don't need to agree on what Satan is. But as long as we understand what we're each talking about and what we're each understanding those words to be, then we can have a conversation. And if we can have a conversation, then we can come to understandings. And from that, we can grow. What's been happening for a very long time, and what is still happening, is that people just immediately put up a wall because somebody says a particular word which they interpret it in a completely different way to the other person, and they just put up this wall because they're not willing to understand how this person interprets that word. And it all boils down to communication at the end of the day. So define these things for yourself, but also understand that everybody else is going to define it as well, and define it their way. And in order to communicate, to grow, to understand, to learn, to change, to develop ourselves, we need to allow ourselves to understand other people's interpretations. And through that, we can develop ourselves more and grow. And that's really it for today. That's what I wanted to just mention. So this Friday, we're going to have Adam Knox on the Black Hat Chat, which I think is going to be a very fun chat. And if you would like to join us for the live chat itself, you can ask questions in the live chat and get to know us all and say hello and give your comments, etc., etc., etc. Then please join us at 4 p.m. GMT on Friday. You can join us on this channel, my channel, or we also stream on Kai's YouTube channel and on Twitch. All of the links are in the description. You can go check out one of our communities. We've got a community on Facebook, Wildwood Temple, and the Wildwood Temple also on Discord server. Again, links in the description. And also check out Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. We have various tiers where you can just give us a bit of a sponsorship, or join us for a monthly Hearthfire chat, or get a course. So that's it for this week, and I'll hopefully see you on Friday. Otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good one. Cheers.